Hey guys, who's ready to learn about Napoleon?
Napoleon was born on an island, Koshia, August 15, 1769, second of 8 surviving children. His family wasn't that wealthy, so they didn't have a lot of the resources they could get. He was best known for being very extraordinary in military victories from 1796 to 97. In 1796, Napoleon commanded a French army that defeated the larger armies of Austria, one of his country's primary rivals, in a series of battles in Italy. In those years, he conquered all of northern Italy. In 1804, he acquired enough power to title himself Emperor of the French. He had a big ceremony where he took the crown from the Pope, placed it on his own head. By doing this action, it was his way of showing that he owned the throne to himself and only himself. Even though the people voted, he still held absolute power.
This is called democratic despotism.
Reasons people liked Napoleon was because he set up government-run schools and ordinary and rich males could go to, and he also signed a concordat, or an agreement with the Pope, and he reached church control on national affairs, and he gained support of the church. He also set up the Napoleonic Code system of laws, and it made it so each citizen had the right to choose their job, religious toleration. They limited liberty while promoting order and authority, and restricted freedom to press and speech. And since they gave certain rights, it also kind of hid the fact that they also didn't have rights, because they didn't have freedom of speech as much, and it was restricted. And main reasons was because he brought back order and stability to people of France, and he kept changes that people fought for in the revolution. And he also established a national bank and better control over the economy. And he also got rid of corrupt officials.
Napoleon built his empire by defeating other countries in Europe. This would cause those men of those countries to join his army, which would increase his numbers sufficiently. His high military skill also helped him build his empire. He valued fast movements in his army, leaving his opponents wondering what he would do next. It was said, even by his enemies, that his presence on the battlefield was worth 40,000 troops. He redrew the entire map of Europe by creating a vast French empire and incorporating the Netherlands, Belgium, and parts of Italy and Germany. He controlled the majority of Europe by using forceful diplomacy. An example of this is when he placed his brother Joseph on the throne of Spain and forced alliances. Napoleon faced problems in 1812 when he invaded Russia, and it didn't really go as planned because the Russian troops just retreated, and that forced Napoleon's army to stay there for longer than they had planned, and the conditions were not good at all. So he lost a lot of members of his army. Being outnumbered and facing rebellion ultimately led to Napoleon's downfall. Although nationalism brought success to the empire, it also brought defeat. Europeans who welcomed Napoleon's ideas of French Revolution saw him as a foreign oppressor. They resented the continental system, and revolts began to unleash in France.
So some events that led to Napoleon's downfall include the continental system in 1805. So in 1805, Napoleon wanted to invade England, but he was defeated by Spain's fleet led by Admiral Horatio Nelson at the Battle of Trafalgar. And Napoleon was angered by this, so he stopped trade between France and Britain by establishing a continental system. Britain responded by blockading their own borders, meaning they closed their ports, preventing people or supplies from moving in or out of the country. Napoleon's system was originally supposed to hurt the English economy, but it actually backfired since France depended on trade more than Britain did. Napoleon also failed to conquer Russia in 1812. He brought 600,000 soldiers along with him. The Russians didn't want to engage in war with him, so they kind of just retreated, and along the way they burned crops and villages as they went. This is known as the scorched earth policy, and it left Napoleon's troops starving as the Russian winter came. Napoleon, along with his army, retreated home from Moscow, knowing that they wouldn't be able to survive under these harsh conditions. So in the end, fewer than 20,000 soldiers survived. Another event was that many people started to see Napoleon along with his army as foreign oppressors. People strongly disliked the continental system that he established and his reforms. Many Spaniards resisted Napoleon's reform to undermine the Spanish Catholic Church and chose to remain loyal to their king, Ferdinand VIII, and the Church. Napoleon also abdicated twice during his rule. So to abdicate means to step down from power. So in 1813, he was defeated at the Battle of the Nations, and he stepped down from power and handed the throne over to Louis XVIII. He then returned because Louis brought back the fear of the old regime, and his new reign only lasted 100 days before he was defeated once again at the Battle of Waterloo in Belgium by England and Prussian forces. So he was forced to step down from power again for the second time, and he never came back. Revolts and patriotism from Spain started to emerge. So when Spaniards resisted French invaders, the French, who was armed, would respond with violence. This further helped grow Spanish nationalism and patriotism to Spain instead of France. So Spanish patriots started launching guerrilla warfare, and they were technically just like little hit-and-run raids. And these raids ambushed French troops and their supplies. They prevented large amounts of Napoleon's troops from being able to help him when he actually needed them to fight for him in battle.
The Congress of Vienna tried to create lasting peace by meeting consistently for 10 months. They dined, danced, and attended concerts and parties. They also balanced power and protected the system of monarchy. Each ruler pursued their own goal. Metternich, the dominant figure at the Congress, wanted to restore things the way they were. And Alexander I urged a holy alliance of the Christian monarchs to suppress the future revolution.
Hope you guys enjoyed our video. Stay tuned for more. Bye, sisters! Shut up! Oh, wait, get out. Get out.
Despotism.
This is called democratic despotism. No. Okay. Oh, sorry.
Shut up!
He redrew the entire...
Plates behind me.
He redrew the entire map of Europe by creating a vast French empire. My God, Napoleon.
Gang supporter. I mean, it made him gang support. I don't even.
Everyone settle down before I beat you up. Joshua!
Class going on in there, and we can hear everything that you guys are doing. Like, it's really loud. So if you guys could...
Period.